The following video was sponsored by the Greek American Heritage Society of Philadelphia, preserving and perpetuating our community's history.
My full name is Jerry Karapalides. I was born in a village named Sklithron, which is about 18 kilometers northwest of Amynteon. I was about 17 years old when I volunteered and joined the TEA, which means the Takma Ethnikis Aminis, or the Greek militia. And on April 27, 1947, I was out in the pillbox at 20 minutes to 12, doing my watching hour. And I thought I heard something in the vineyards, which nobody's supposed to be there at that time because we had barbed wires and mines all over the place. So the second time again, I thought I heard something, and I started shooting with my automatic Thompson. And then next to our post was the army post. They started shooting, and the next thing I know, everybody else was shooting everybody else. Now, that lasted about 2-3 hours, and all of a sudden the field phone in the pillbox rang, and I answered it, and our Capitanius, which is the whatever his whatever it was, sergeant or captain, or he called me to go to the sleeping quarters where they want to talk to me. So between the pillbox and the sleeping quarters, it was about 200 yards, and we had a trench made at the zigzag type. So I went there, and here was a regular captain of the army and a sergeant of the regular army, the Greek army. And I thought they're going to give me hell when the captain says to me, the first shot came from this area. Did you fire it? Well, being a 17-year-old, I was afraid they might court-martial me for doing that, not knowing what's going on. And I says, yes, sir, I fired it. And he started hollering at me. He comes in and he says, congratulations, my boy. Do you know what you did? I says, no, sir, I have no idea. He says, you saved the town. There's thousands of guerrillas fighting at us. And naturally, I felt a lot better.
What was the name of the town?
Amynteon. Amynteon, which at that time, normally Amynteon was about 3,000 to 4,000 regular residents, but by evacuating 18 villages from the district, and they all put them into Amynteon, which the population grew to over 26,000.
And this is where, in what province and what time frame?
This is in Florina, northwest Macedonia, about 70 miles from the Albanian border. And then the captain says to the sergeant, he says, Sergeant, take all the information down, all the details. And the captain did, and I was told to go back to the pillbox where the fighting was going very forcefully. That lasted until 8 o'clock in the morning, from 12 o'clock till 8. And then orders came in that we should proceed outside our territory. And then the Greek Royal Air Force came in and they took over. And from unconfirmed sources, we learned then that we've been fighting over 5,500 communist guerrillas. And that was the night that we call it the headhunters, because if the town of Amynteon had fallen to the forces of the andartes, they had a list of over 300 names, residents of Amynteon, which they were arrest them and execute them. And that's why we call them the headhunters.
That history was recorded in the Military History magazine issue of April 1999.
After in 1949, after when the communists had withdrawn from our area, I immigrated to Toronto, Canada, and 2 years later I met my wife, which she was visiting Toronto. We got engaged in May of 1952, and in November 9th, 1952, we got married. 2 years later, we moved into Camden, New Jersey, where my wife's parents lived. And I joined the Greek community of Camden, which at that time were about less than 100 families. Then we got together, 78 families, and we built St. Thomas Greek Orthodox Church, which ever since I belong to that community. Right now, our community has over 1,250 families. And in 1957, I joined the HEPA, the Camden chapter number 69. I was a secretary for many, many years. I was a treasurer for many, many years. And for quite a few years, I was a chaplain, the vice president for 2 years, a president for 2 years, and of course now I'm retired, and I sort of take it easy.
Great. Let's backtrack to Greece, where you were born, and let's talk about life in the village a bit, and going to school in Thessaloniki, and then monastir. Can you talk about these three aspects of your life?
Yes. Before World War II, my family was consists of my father, my uncle, his brother, of course my papu and yaya, and where the family was well-to-do. We had two businesses. One was general business in Sklithron, to my Koryo, where my Uncle Chris, my father's brother, took care of it. The other one was in Thessaloniki in partnership with Mr. Asael and Hebreos, a Jewish guy, well educated from a German descent. They were having a male clothing business, which they did business export and import from other countries, especially Germany, England, and France. And during that time, when I was 10 years old, I finished fourth grade school in Sklithron, and my father took me and put me ikotrofos, which means a room and board paid by my father in Thessaloniki, and I gave tests for octataxio, which means 8 classes in the high school, and I passed it, I must say so. And for 3 years rather, until the Italians declared war against my country, I was going to the gymnasio in Thessaloniki. In 1941, my father arranged for me to go back to Chorió. A year later, for one thing, I must say, my father believed in a high education. He himself wasn't, he didn't have a high education, but he was self-taught. He spoke 5 languages. He could read the Jewish Yiddish newspaper, and he was well received by the Jewish community. Our store was located on Odo Sermu number Dio, Thessaloniki, and unfortunately, the Germans came in, and like every other country with the Jews, they rounded them up, and they took them to Treblinka and the other places where the Jews were exterminated.
The relationship between your father and his partner, his Jewish partner, what happened to that family? I think your son Harry wrote a book actually about that.
Yes. My father and his partner, Mr. Asael, which incidentally looked like the movie star Vincent Price. He was 6'6", and like I said, he himself spoke 7 languages. Mr. Asael did not believe that Hitler will exterminate or will harm the German Jews. He was very wrong. My father tried to convince him to move to our village, and we'll make arrangements with the underground so they can survive. And Mr. Asael says, Kyriargiri, puta pao me efta koritzia. He had 7 daughters. The youngest one was 10 years old, like myself, and we're very, very close. On Saturday, my friend, Mr. Asael's daughter, I believe, I forgot her name, but I believe it was Sarah. We used to go to the synagogue. On Sunday, Sarah and I will go to the St. Sophia Greek Orthodox Church. It was tremendous. I practically grew up in the house of the Asaels. And when they, just before they were rounded up by the Nazis, they gave my father, each one of the girls, their precious thing, like musical instruments and stuff like that, paintings, and I cried for many weeks when my father brought the stuff.
What happened to the family? Were they taken away?
They were taken away, and we never heard from them. Then the SS came in, and they told my father that you had a Jewish partner. My father says yes. He says we confiscate his share. Well, his share, which will have been half of it, according to the Nazis, SS, and the Gestapo, they took 3/4 of the stock that we had in the store. And the little bit that my father saved, well, the little bit that the Nazis left, we took it in 2 trucks, and we brought it into to our Choreo Sklithron. And then the guerrillas, the underground, came in one night, and they said to my father, "You had a Jewish partner?" My father said, "Yes." He says, "We fighting the war, so we're going to confiscate your partner's share." My father says, and he took a document that the SS gave my father. He says, "You're too late. The Nazis took care of that. Here's the..." And I witnessed that because I was standing next to my father. And the captain of the andartes says, he took the paper and he threw it on the ground and says, "We fighting them. We don't recognize this." My father says, "Well, we don't have it." He says, "Yes, we know where they're at." And they had all the names of the relatives that we put some stuff for them. They put everything in 12 mules, I beg your pardon, 17 mules, packed with material that the store had it in Thessaloniki. And that was the end of the dynasty of the Karapalides.
It's 1942. The war has continued. You're 14 years old, and your father has returned you from Thessaloniki back to the village.
That's correct.
Another incident took place there in the village with the Germans. They were apparently rounding up men from the age of 16 to 60. Can you tell us about that?
Coming from Amynteon to Sklithron, to my hometown, about 5 miles before you get to my town, there is a small town named Ayatos, like an eagle. And the underground shot and killed 2 couriers in a motorcycle, which were going from Amynteon to Castoria. Right exactly at Ayatos, they shot them dead. Naturally, within an hour, the German troops came in, and they took hostages from Ayatos, from Asproia, and from Sklithron. Now, when they came to Sklithron, the church bell was ringing, and the guy who announces what happened, what's happening to the Choreo, came up and said that the Germans said anybody from 16 to 60 to get it around at the church. The church and the school were in the center of the town. Well, I was ready to go with him, and my father says, no, no, says, you stay here, get in bed, take your textbooks, open them up, and if anybody comes in and says that you studying, then sure thing. And a little later, this German soldier came in. He wasn't SS. He was a regular Wehrmacht, physical. And he says to me, Raus, raus, sicko. I says, I can't. What are you doing? So the little bit German that I understood, because I was taken in school, I told him that I'm studying my lesson in German. And the guy was impressed. He says, oh, then he saw the book. And he says, very good. You stay here. That's what I understood. And I understand, and my father told me afterwards, that they took 3 men from our town, and quite a few from Aitos, 2 from Sproja, another town. All in all, they took about 25 persons. They took them outside in the fields of Aitos. They made them dig up the big hole. They lined them up at the end of the hole, and with a machine gun, they cut them down, killed them all.
Let's talk about another incident that took place there. Apparently, strategically, the village is in a strategically important location. The Germans were coming through with tanks to cross a bridge. Could you talk to us about that?
That was when one morning we woke up. Incidentally, our village is surrounded by 4 little mountains. You know, that's like exactly 4, like, you know, and we were in a valley down. So when we woke up in the morning, we sort of, there must have been a division of German Wehrmacht and tanks, you know, and they came from the east, with the mountain from the east, you know. Now, before you get into the to the village, there is a river, which they call it Stara Reka. The river goes through it, and it got a small bridge for the Horianit to go to work and repair. So this commander of the tanks, he comes up, he looks up his map, and he's trying to go through the bridge. Now the bridge wasn't wide enough and strong enough to hold a Tiger tank with tons of weight. So the ladies, the villagers, women came out of the house screaming and says, no, 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 to tell them. He wouldn't listen. He wanted to go through the now, being a summertime, the water were not deep because of, you know, they be using them for recreational. So somebody says, go get so-and-so, which he was in the United States for many years, and he came home to retire, and he spoke English. It so happened that the commander of the tank spoke English. So our villager says to him, he says, sir, you can't go through the bridge. First of all, it's not strong enough. It'll collapse. And secondly, it's not wide enough to hold a tiger. But the guy says, sir, I have orders to go through that bridge. my orders does not say which way I have to go, only through the bridge. He says, but you can't do it. He wouldn't listen. So we start going through the, no sooner as he got to the bridge, the first three columns were holding the rails were destroyed. Then he realized it himself that it's impossible. He backed up and he came down through the river, which wasn't even a foot high water. He could have done that the first thing. Do you know something? I went back to Greece many times with my family, and especially with my younger son, Ted. The bridge still there, broken, unfixed. Nobody has fixed it in 65 years.
Jerry, take us forward now from the Greek occupation of World War II to the Greek Civil War.
The Germans left in 1940, the early part of 1945 from our area. The Royal Greek government at that time issued a proclamation for everybody to lay down their, for the guerrillas, to lay down their weapons and go home. But the communists had a different idea. They forced their troops to remain and fight now the Greek army. That's when I decided, because one day at the Choreo, the communists came in and took us, about 17 of our young kids, about 17 or 16, and they talked to us for a couple of hours, telling us how great the communist ruling is and all that, how bad the Greek government is. And they told us that we should go back home to our homes and make arrangements. In 3 days, they'll come back and take us and put us where we're supposed to go. They told me that since I had some little bit of formal education, I'll be what they call a καθοδηγητής. In other words, promoting the communist. I talked to my father and my mother, and they both of them agree. My mother says, Γιώκα φύγε, πήγαινε στο Αμύντιο. Me and a very good friend of mine, Michael, Monday morning, we get up early in the morning, walking 18 miles, and we went to Amynteon, where we both joined the TEA. And of course, a while later, orders came in to evacuate all the 18 villages in the district. And they brought them into Amynteon, which the population grew up more than 25,000. And that we stayed until the beginning of 1949, just before I left for Canada. And with the help of the regular Greek army, we went to the Choreo, which was in a very, very bad shape. And at the end of, towards the end of 1949 in November, my brother lived in Canada, so he made the papers for me, and I moved to Canada.
Let me ask you, for your service during the Greek Civil War and that specific battle, did you receive any recognition or awards?
Yes, as I mentioned it before, the captain says to the sergeant to take all the details of my what I've done, and because of my warning shot that, according to them, that I saved the village from disaster. I saved Amynteon for disaster. The then Minister of the Army, Mr. Kanellopoulos, he issued me a proclamation and a medal for, I guess, for doing what I did. But in the meantime, that wasn't issued till 1952 or 3. So they gave it to my father. They had a parade and everything. And my father used to say, the best day of my life was when they called my name to receive the medal for what my son did. And then in 1962, when my wife and I and the kids went to Greece, we stayed for 5 months. My father gave me right now, my son Harry has the medal and the proclamation in his office.
Tell us about your transition now to America, moving to Toronto where you have some family.
Moving to Toronto was the best thing I ever did. After 10 years of war and disasters, and especially to my own family, I'm not speaking for the rest of the people, I'm speaking for my own family. In a village there is a saying that said, "Από πρόεδρος πήγα σε κλητήρας." In other words, from being high up, we went all the way down to the bottom financially, and we lost some people and all that. So that was the best thing that I ever done, although I was concerned leaving my parents behind. And I stayed in Toronto for four years. And in 1954, I came to the United States in Camden, New Jersey, where my wife's parents lived. And I got involved in the local community, which I'm proud to say it was one of my best moves that I ever did.
You're also a founding member of St. Thomas Greek Orthodox Church in Cherry Hill.
We started with 78 families. And the way we did it is we made it arrangements with First Camden National Bank. So each family will give $300. And they are to pay the bank like a mortgage, $10 a month, no interest charge, no nothing. And believe it or not, that helped a lot. And of course, from after we open up the church, we find out that we have a lot more Greek families in the area. Right now, we have approximately 1,250 families live in the vicinity of St. Thomas, but unfortunately, only 625 families are paid-up members.
Your life also evolves around another great history. Here in the Delaware Valley, part of the Greek American community is the history of the diner industry, where the Greeks have been tied to for a very long time. You yourself opened 2 diners. Can you talk to us about the diners?
In 1954, when I came to Camden, New Jersey, I was hired at the Nassau restaurant as a night manager. I stayed there for 9 years. Then my partner and I, we opened up the South Grove Diner in Brooklyn, at the Brooklyn Circle in Brooklyn, New Jersey. And then, 15 years later, I sold the diner. We opened up a family diner in Philadelphia. That was in 7400 Frankfurt Avenue in Philadelphia, Northeast Philadelphia, which calls the Macedon Diner, named after Alexander the Great, the Macedon, the Great Macedon. You know, after all, he's my ancestor.
Tell us about your family life. Tell us about your wife and your marriage and your kids.
When we got married in 1952 on November 9th in Toronto, at St. George's Church in Toronto, we had a reception, the biggest that ever the Greeks ever had. We had over 325 people invited. That was 1952, November 52. And of course, everybody had a great time. Then I waited for a year till I get my papers done. And as I stated before, I came to Camden, got involved with the local Greek community, and in 3 years, I got my citizenship papers because I didn't have to wait 5 years because I married American citizens already. And we had we had two children, Christine, she was the first one, and Harry was the second one. And later on, in the later years, Theodore came along, Ted. Now I have 2 boys, 1 girl, 6 grandchildren, 5 girls, and 1 boy, which carries my name. Incidentally, my Greek name is Evangelos.
Today, how do you spend your time?
I'm retired. As a matter of fact, I was semi-retired until about 6-7 years ago because I couldn't stay home. But now, now I'm retired, and we have a group of retirees and young in heart and not at age in our community in St. Thomas Church, which we call it Kaliparea. Translation in English will be a good company. And I'm the speaker, the spokesman, and the coordinator of that. Right now we have approximately 71 members, but normally we get like 30 to 45 members in attendance. And we we're not an organization, we're not a corporation, we have no officers, we have no agenda, we don't pay dues. We're strictly choriatico kafenio, if you know what I mean. You know, we discuss everything from the serious problems of Greece to the jokes that a couple of our members are doing. We meet every Wednesday. I can hardly wait for Wednesday from 9 to 12. And lately, thanks to our local Greek diners, they provide us with a luncheon. And believe me, they were provided with a very good luncheon. So and we really, a note to that, before we create the Kaliparea, which is now more than 5 years, I didn't know most of the people because, you know, I've been living in West Deptford since 1992. I moved here. But now with the Kaliparea, I know everybody's first name, and that is a great thing. A bunch of 40, 45 of us, all us Promalides, get together and telling jokes.
Jerry Karapalides, thank you for speaking with us today.
My pleasure, Ted and Vasily. I appreciate it, giving me the chance to relieve my youth. They leave. Although most of the times for 10 years, life wasn't that easy, but it was easy since we made it, you know. And it's nice to have people like you to tape those things, show it to our younger generation that we did something for the country, for ourselves. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate it.
For more information about sponsoring or viewing the interview series, visit the Greek American Heritage Society of Philadelphia